Attractive teachers of Reddit, did you know which students had a crush on you? And what is the strangest or most inappropriate thing you overheard said about you? French teacher here. Teenagers are just constantly inappropriate and need very little encouragement. I got asked to prom, had boys tell other teachers that they thought I was hot, had a parent accusingly tell me that she now understood why her son loved French, which I took to mean that my innovative skill set had inspired him. I didn't mind though, it meant that I had a class with 12 previously disengaged 16-year-old boys come back for extra homework and revision classes every lunchtime and after school, and every one of those bags of hormones passed. I use the crushes students have on me for their own good too. You want to hang out with me? Sure, let's go to the library during lunch to work on your assignment. You want to know what impresses me in a man? Good work ethic and good grades. Cue them actually working hard on an assignment and handing it in on time. I had a super attractive English teacher in college that actually got me into writing and really interested in whatever she was teaching. She would write so vigorously on the whiteboard that her butt would wiggle. She knew. My debate teacher told me that she was taught to never erase a board side to side because then your butt wiggles. My sister, who is a teacher, has turned down dozens of proposals from 6-year-olds. Yes. A real eye-opener was realizing how even very young kids can get overly attached. There was one 10-year-old who acted friendly towards me until her little sister announced loudly in front of a room full of kids, "My sister fancies you," after which her older sister kind of melted into the background and never approached me again. I proposed to my first grade teacher. She was amazing. But alas, it wasn't meant to be. Ms. Mellon, wherever you are, I hope you found the man who's a little more mature you were looking for. Maybe she'd be interested now. She's had a year to think on it. I wouldn't say I'm attractive, but being a tar in college, a lot of girls get flirty for favorable grades. Some try harder than others. Then during office hours right before the final, girls will be coming in with push-up bras and tiny shorts like that's going to work. Once I subbed for my buddy's high school class, and one of the girls sat front row center giving me the duck me eyes the entire hour. It was a little uncomfortable. The most inappropriate thing I've overheard said about me wasn't sexual, but rather about my military experience, just spreading untrue rumors. Did they say you graduated top of your class in the Navy SEALs? Maybe that you were involved in numerous secret raids on Al Qaeda and have over 300 confirmed kills? Or was it the fact you trained in guerrilla warfare and are the top sniper in the entire US Armed Forces? He said untrue rumors. Gave me a chuckle. Okay, 2 stories. One of my friends who is a bit awkward would always say "I love you" to an attractive teacher, typically once or twice a week. At first she would reacted to it by saying things like "what, why, stop it." Then her reactions became a bit less noticeable, and during the last week of school she said it back and his face lit up like you wouldn't believe too. A male student 18 and female teacher 22 met in school and later got married, so that was a thing. Your teacher from 1 probably wanted to give your friend a good memory before leaving. Yeah, after a while I think she didn't care because it was close to the end of the year, so why not? Or she just wanted it to stop because it would totally make it stop and not escalate at all. I mean, it did make it stop, and it's not like they were ever going to see each other a week from then. I'm not a teacher, and I may be too late to the party for this, but when I was in high school there was one particular male coach who got lots of female attention. Girls would come by his classes just to say hello. They'd stop and hug him in the hallway. Sometimes get in trouble just to get put in detention because he oversaw that for a while. Just being around witnessing this shit was crazy to me because I had never, and still to this day have never again, seen girls just throwing themselves at a guy and fawning all over him. It was like this coach was a goddamn rockstar. Later when I was in college I learned that he went to jail for banging like all of them. In the 70s, there was a very good looking male teacher who also coached football at my school. The guy had blonde hair, a cleft chin, and was in pretty great shape. I'm guessing he was mid-30s. He used to sit all the pretty girls in the front of the class. He actually married a student right after she graduated. A few years later, she divorced him as she caught him with a current student. Rockstar indeed. Young male middle school teacher here. I know quite a few of them who have a crush on me. There's a new fad where they tell each other secrets and say "whoa, exposed." Since when did snitching become popular? Anyway, I always get told who has a crush on me. And quite often some of the girls will drop by to leave their athletic bags or instruments, etc. in the classroom, and they bring their friends in with them. When they leave, I always hear comments like, "I wish I had him as my teacher." My top 3 worst incidents. I had a girl come in at lunch. She told me, "Mr. I like you," knowing full well what she meant. I tried to play it off and said as nonchalant as I could, "I like you too. You're a great student." She was like, "No, I mean I really like you." I couldn't believe the tenacity. Another student asked me to take a picture with her towards the end of the school year. I obliged, and on the last day she printed it out and gave it to me with her Instagram on the back and a message about how cute I was. A girl found my Facebook and saved my profile picture as the background to her phone. I deleted my Facebook promptly afterward. If only I could get that kind of attention from girls my own age. Every time I have a crush on someone, I'm gonna make them my phone background from now on. If Op's story is anything to go by, I'm going to make my phone background the pictures of people I don't like, hoping they'll leave social media. I'm not bad, and frequently the youngest female teacher my students have ever had. I teach middle school, so 13 to 15 or 16. It's funny, the boys that actually have a crush are super obvious about it, but they just act embarrassed and think they are hiding it well. Lol, no. The most inappropriate comments I've gotten to my face are, "Come to a love hotel with me, Japan. Love HOTEL equals PAY by the hour. What position do you like?" And just a straightforward, "Have dex with me." All of those several times in both English and Japanese. Shut those down real quick. Overheard comments. Mostly they just talk about my boobs, lol. Edit. Some details. I remember the hormones were raging in guys and girls at those ages. I'm happy that I can think more clearly now that I'm older, but yes, good that you shut that talk down. Schedule a date with all of them to meet at a love hotel at the same time. When you don't show up, they'll have sex with each other and never have to worry about getting hit in Ajian. Was a student with a very attractive teacher. She was maybe 25 or so when I was a freshman, and all of the guys talked about her constantly. She always kept the door to her classroom locked during lunch, and one day me and 2 other kids were waiting outside for her to unlock the door. I was waiting there because I was lame, but the other 2 kids were friends who were talking about her. Okay, so this conversation took place like 10 years ago, but here is about how it went. God, Miss Blank is so fucking hot. I know, right? No, seriously. I know, man. No, but seriously, if she was here right now, I'd bend her over. And he then proceeded to mime spanking her by literally spanking the door while we stood there. I guess like any kid who doesn't understand sex might be prone to do. I was maybe 3 feet away and not really sure whether to smile and play along or be horrified. And as he spanks the door a 4th or 5th time, Miss Blank actually opens the door from the inside. She looked at all 3 of us and said, "You boys need to learn not to talk so loud." And then we just went in and sat down. All in all, not a bad outcome actually, but I still wonder what was really going through her mind. Probably, "Oh my god, can't these kids give up already?" Lol. Finally, an Askreddit question I can answer. I'm not much to look at now, but in the mid-90s I was a much handsomer fellow. I was working at a Catholic high school at the height of my best hairstyle and my size 28 waist. Those are both gone now. The first day I started, a group of giggling teenage girls were huddled and whispering and looking at me. One of them worked up the guts to come over to me and say, "Hello, sir. One question please." Just. She was blushing. "Are you married?" So yeah, a bunch of 16-year-old girls were hoping I was single. What they thought they'd do if I was, I'm not sure, but they were crushing. One day I'm walking down a long hallway at the school and was vaguely aware of a group of girls behind me whispering. I didn't realize they were focused on me until I heard one say, "Look at his butt." I stopped without turning around, and they burst into loud embarrassed laughter and then scattered like cockroaches when the light turns on. Now, in 2017, I looked like the poster from About Schmidt. But I had my day once upon a time. Beautiful. They scurried up the walls in a serpentine pattern. Terrifying and hilarious. If my knowledge of horror movies is anything to go by, that is an entirely plausible scenario for a group of girls at a Catholic high school. Oh lord, before my breast reduction I was a timid tar with 34H boobs at a high school. Surprisingly it was girls I heard most of the comments from. Guys mostly just stared. Anyway, the worst, and certainly weirdest, was when I was watching over a homeroom and pretended not to hear a group of girls talk about a rumor that I had let several male students tit me one after another, and because my boobs were so big I guess the cum pulled up in my cleavage, and in the end I sucked it all out with a straw. Yeah. More than anything I was amused by how they thought tit-tucking worked. How big is 34H? Is that like back pain big? It's big. Each one was about the size of my head. I got some back pain, but the worst part was how unpleasant it made doing exercise and particularly running. Wow. I dated a girl who would tell me to walk slower or she would get black eyes. I could tell she was inconvenienced by them. Has your quality of life improved with breast reduction? Immensely. It cost me a boyfriend of 2 years, but in retrospect that was just another benefit. I'm a student teacher and was asked if I was an 8th grader by a student in my first week teaching, which doesn't make me attractive, but it does make me seem more age appropriate for my middle schoolers. I work with kids with special needs, and I knew that one of the boys, nonverbal, had hit puberty when he came over to me and gently kissed my forearm and then made his happy noise. It's kinda like a shap, which lead to a new rule that we don't kiss teachers. It was kinda cute though. He's not one for affection in general. Lol. This made me laugh so hard. Very cute. Speaking of funny noises, my youngest daughter is 17 and very statuesque and attractive. I happen to know a younger 14-year-old boy who goes to her school who is a sweetheart, but also the biggest dork you'll ever meet. One day my daughter tells me a story about how she was walking down the hall and 14-year-old dork opens the door for her. She courteously says thank you, and he replies with an awkward noise that sounded kind of like Hermisherma. It's hard to say you're welcome while unexpectedly ejaculating. Was a student with a very attractive teacher. She was maybe 25 or so when I was a freshman and all of the guys talked about her constantly. She always kept the door to her classroom locked during lunch, and one day me and 2 other kids were waiting outside for her to unlock the door. I was waiting there because I was lame, but the other 2 kids were friends who were talking about her. Okay, so this conversation took place like 10 years ago, but here is about how it went. God, Miss Blank is f***ing hot. I know, right? No, seriously. I know, man. No, but seriously, if she was here right now I'd bend her over and... He then proceeded to mime spanking her by literally spanking the door while we stood there, I guess like any kid who doesn't understand sex might be prone to do. I was maybe 3 feet away and not really sure whether to smile and play along or be horrified, and as he spanks the door a 4th or 5th time, Miss Blank actually opens the door from the inside. She looked at all 3 of us and said, "You boys need to learn not to talk so loud." And then we just went in and sat down. All in all, not a bad outcome actually, but I still wonder what was really going through her mind. Probably, oh my god, can't these kids give up already? Lol. Finally something I can answer. I teach junior and senior high school as a substitute teacher. I graduated a year ago so haven't landed a full-time position yet. I've had multiple grade 10 students write inappropriate comments on my formal evaluations given out during the last day of my final student teaching practicum. These included, "I want to have sex with Ms. Teacupgrad. Ms. Teacupgrad is hot, sexy, cute. I want to duck you," all caps for extra emphasis. During my first student teaching practicum I had a grade 9 student who was a good foot taller than me block me from leaving the doorway when he repeated asked for a hug. I had another grade 9 student slap my ass. I was so surprised I honestly didn't know how to handle it. Teaching is fun. Out of curiosity, how did you handle it? As in, I hope you didn't let him off light. I was so taken aback I didn't really do anything to him in the moment. He also did it and then quickly walked away laughing. I ended up telling my mentor teacher about it at the end of the day and she was pissed I didn't see him after that, so he likely was suspended. Among several personal questions was, "Do you have a girlfriend?" And once a student called me honey. It's especially icky because they are just 8th graders. Edit. I feel obliged to defend my students given the general character of anecdotes featured in this thread. None of my kids are unscrupulous little sex crazed monsters or pre-skanks or anything. The subject and method by which I teach is by necessity more personal and social than typical, and so there's bound to be a girl here or there that crushes on teacher a little bit. They're good kids. I'm not a fan of honey unless they're in their 60s. I'm probably too late on this, but a year 10th boy got suspended for taking and sending Snapchat photos of my ass whenever I was helping a student in front of him. It was another boy who showed me and said he wasn't happy with me being disrespected, which was nice. One of my teachers back in high school had this happen to her, except she noticed on her own Ike because the kid forgot to turn flash off on his phone when he snapped the photo. That's hilarious. People trying to take sneaky pictures and having flash/camera sound on is such a funny scenario. I was not attractive, but freshman girls still crushed on me when I taught at uni as a grad student. I would have thought they were just flirting for grades, but they were always the nerdy hot type that already earned good grades. One called me doctor, told her I didn't have a PhD. Called me prof, I told her I was just an instructor. She asked if she could call me professor anyhow, then she asked if I'd like to get a drink. Told her to ask again when the class was over if she was serious. She was. She called me professor. It was a really great score for a guy who looks like a catcher's mitt. Hot nerdy girls are the best. Listen here you little shoot. What the duck did you just say to me, you little bitch? I'll have you know. I graduated top of my class in the sciences, and I've been involved in numerous totally scientific morality proofs, and I have over 300 peer-reviewed philosophy papers. I'm self-trained in the philosophical field of epidemiology, and I'm the top thinker in US academia. You are nothing to me, but just another dirty peasant. I will wipe your reasoning the duck out with precision the likes of which has never been seen before on this earth. Mark my ducking words. You think you can get away with saying that shit to me over the internet? Think again, ducker. As we speak I'm engaging in a heavy philosophical conversation with thinkers across the USA and your arguments are being destroyed right now. So you better prepare for the storm, maggot. The storm that wipes out the pathetic little thing you call your reasoning. You're ducking idiotic, kid. I can be anywhere, anytime, and I can disprove you in over 700 ways, and that's just with my memory. Not only am I extensively trained in derivativizing, but I have access to the entire philosophical library of the United States and I will use it to its full extent to wipe your subhuman ass off the face of the internet, you little shit. If only you could have known what unholy retribution your little clever comment was about to bring down upon you. Maybe you would have held your ducking tongue. But you couldn't, you didn't, and now you're paying the price, you goddamn idiot. I will shoot fury all over you, and you will drown in it. You're ducking retarded, kiddo.